One of the projects in this course is a paper called the Environmental Controversy paper. Now, don't get too overwhelmed by the thought of writing a paper. It's only 2, maybe 3 pages long. You only need 2 sources, and hopefully it's about a topic that you're interested in. So for this topic, you're going to choose something, whether it's from the list I provide or you have an interest in some other topic that's not on that list. And what you're going to do is you're going to analyze it, but analyze it from 2 points of view. That's why it's called the environmental controversy. Now, depending on the issue, it might be that there's a clear one side versus another side, or it could be there's pros and cons, but for the issues that I chose, there's definitely 2 sides to the story. And I think it's critically important that you understand both sides. In my class, I try to present both sides when I can, but obviously there's so many environmental issues to talk about that sometimes it's hard to talk about both sides. And this project gives you an opportunity to do that additional research, but then also share it with the class. So let's talk a little bit more about this. At the very beginning of the project overview are all the deadlines. So everything's already planned out for the next really 2 months of this project. So the first thing you're going to do is choose a topic. The way you choose your topic is going into Blackboard, and you can go either under the projects folder, or I put each individual deadline in the appropriate weekly folder. In the projects folder, there is a Blackboard Wikipedia page, so to speak. And that's how you're going to sign up for your topic. You'll go in, you'll click edit, and you'll add your name to the list. If you're interested in an idea that I don't have posted, then just email me to let me know if that would be approved. And if so, then we can just add your topic to that list. Now, depending on the topic you choose will depend on kind of how you write your paper. So there's 2 different types of papers you might be writing, or you'll be writing one of these types. One is a topic that has 2 ends of the spectrum. For example, hydraulic fracturing is on there. Hydraulic fracturing is one of the ways that we get oil and natural gas, and proponents of this is saying that, it's driving down the cost of energy. Natural gas is the cheapest it's ever been. So some people are saying this is actually really great for the economy, a lot of jobs, and really helping our where our money's going. However, on the other side, there's definitely some environmental effects to it. So you might have a topic that has a clear, some people think it's really great, some people think it's really bad. Another example is a topic where you're like, well, this seems fine. For example, solar power. Seems like, who is saying solar power is really bad? Probably not many people. However, there's still some downsides related to solar power in addition to the upsides, and you might end up finding out in your research that maybe you think the downsides are actually too great as compared to the upsides. So just keep this in mind when choosing your topic if you're trying to figure out, okay, what am I supposed to write about? More than likely your topic fits into one of these 2 categories. Now, as you've noticed in the discussion boards, I'm having you identify bias in whatever information that you're finding, because you want to make sure that you're being fair in your assessment. Excuse me. So your next deadline is going to be a paper source evaluation. For your research paper, you need to find 2 sources, and these need to be pretty legitimate, really good, informative resources. This can't just be someone's blog, okay? It can't just be some random organization that you've never heard of. It needs to be a fairly legitimate source. And I have this source evaluation worksheet to help you with that. There are questions about who is the author, how old is this article, what is the author's background, things like that to help you determine if this is a good and reliable resource. So those, you'll need to do that for 2 of your sources, which is the minimum for this paper. Even if you use more than 2 sources, you only need to complete this worksheet for 2 of them, and you can choose which 2 that is. The 2 sources you use in your paper, you do need to have a source for both sides. So for the pros and for the cons, for the goods and the bads, for the I support it or I don't support it. So you need at least 1 source for each of those. The actual paper itself, again, only 2 pages, maybe 3 pages. Essentially, it should be an overview of your topic, what are solar panels. Both sides are presented. And then finally, your conclusion, as in what do you personally think? And you can take whichever side that you believe in based on the evidence that you found. Now, I really want to emphasize that is you need to use evidence to support your opinion. What I'm trying to get my point across, and the reason we do this project, is that your opinion may change. Maybe you thought solar energy was great, but actually seeing all the downsides, you might not think it's great anymore. Whatever it is you choose, it just needs to be supported with evidence that you actually found. And it's okay if it's not the environmentally friendly one. I don't care. The point is you're able to research something and form an opinion based on being informed on that topic. So this section here under the research paper tells you how things should be formatted. It also tells you how to find a really good source and what kind of things you should look for to find a reputable source. Paraphrasing. So there are no direct quotes in this paper. Everything you find, you need to paraphrase. I don't care what someone else said. I want to know that you can read information and synthesize it into your own words. So this is some just kind of tips and examples of what I mean by paraphrasing. Paraphrasing is not just changing one word or a couple words. That is not paraphrasing. That is still plagiarizing. That is still stealing someone else's words. So this is an example that I personally wrote. You will need to do citations, obviously, because you're sourcing your material. Just because you paraphrase something, that doesn't mean you don't need to source it. We still need to know where those ideas came from. So you're going to do APA formatting. If you're not familiar with APA, it's really not that different from MLA. You'll do an in-text citation, so this is what is presented after you wrote something in your paper. It's just a quick little, hey, got this information from someone else. I got it from Furness in 1987. This gives you more information on how to do that. And then at the end of the paper, you'll have a references section where you're going to write the full reference for that. And I've given you an example here. This is based on the information in my paraphrase section, but also some tips in here. This is standard APA, so if my directions aren't clear enough, if you just do a Google search on APA formatting, you will find everything that you need. This shows you the grading rubric so you know what to expect. You can also find this in Blackboard. And then, although not posted yet, but discussion number 5 is actually just a summary of your paper. You're gonna submit the whole paper to me, but I want you to be able to share this with your classmates. So you're just gonna write a summary in discussion board number 5. That'll be the prompt that week. And then the very last thing is going to be a quick little reflection, just how did it go? Did your mind change? Do you think you learned something? Etc. So that's pretty much the project. Again, this is all outlined in the projects folder under environmental controversy. You can also find it week by week, and then you can always refer to this project overview sheet anytime that you need it. If you have any questions, ask me in the Bio Cafe or send me an email.